Hey everyone, welcome back to Traverse Talks. I'm Jim Hard, and this is our weekly news wrap for Friday, August 14th. We've got four big stories out of Grand Traverse County this week, plus a look at a bipartisan bill in Washington that could matter for rural internet access right here at home. So let's get into it. First, an update on one of the most serious stories we followed this year. Grand Traverse County Prosecutor Noel Mokenberg's office has now reviewed the findings of that outside investigation into decades of abuse allegations at Interlochen Center for the Arts. The one that named 47 individuals accused of sexual misconduct with students going back to the 1950s. Her office says it's flagged somewhere between 10 and 15 cases it believes are legally viable, and the statute of limitations hasn't run out, and prosecutors are asking for more information before deciding on the charges. This is one of the most consequential accountability stories our region has faced, and we'll keep tracking it as closely as possible as prosecutors decide their next move. Next, the fight over short-term rentals in Traverse City is not going away. It's been more than 2 years since the city started reworking its 25-year-old short-term rental ordinance, the one that governs the roughly 445 licensed vacation and tourist homes inside city limits. Since January, a group calling itself Responsible Home Sharing, Traverse City, has been actively organizing and pushing back against tighter restrictions the city's been considering. It's the same tension we've talked about all summer, tourism dollars versus housing supply, and it's still nowhere near resolved. And here's our third story. County government just closed the book on a year-long legal fight. Grand Traverse County commissioners voted this week to buy the Pace North building on Garfield Road for $2.9 million. If you're not familiar, Pace North provides in-home care for seniors so they can avoid moving into a nursing facility. And the county and Pace North have been tangled in a lawsuit over the group's push to go independent. The purchase settles that dispute and keeps these services anchored in the community. In the same meeting, commissioners also expanded on how the 86th District Court can use opioid settlement money for its recovery court programs. And the TC Philharmonic Musicians unionize. And a first for the arts scene here. Musicians of the Traverse City Philharmonic have voted overwhelmingly to unionize. 86% of musicians turned out to vote, and 94% of those voted yes. They're now joining the American Federation of Musicians as members of Local 56. It started back in April when one violinist reached out with concerns about how the orchestra operates. And after 4 months of organizing, they'll now start negotiating their first contract. Worth watching how this shapes the Phil going forward, folks. Now let's head to Washington, D.C. for a story that's easy to miss but matters a lot out. A bipartisan bill from Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin and Iowa Senator Joni Ernst just cleared the U.S. Senate unanimously, and it's aimed square at small, rural internet providers. And it fixes a decades-old quirk in SEC rules that forces tiny, locally owned broadband companies to file the same expensive financial paperwork as multi-billion-dollar public corporations. By raising the threshold that triggers those SEC reporting requirements, the bill frees up money and staff time small providers can put toward actually running fiber and expanding coverage instead of compliance cost. It's backed by NTCA, the National Trade Group for Rural Broadband Providers, and for folks outside Traverse City's core. In the township still waiting on reliable internet, this is the unglamorous kind of regulatory fix that could actually speed up the build-out. So that's your wrap for this week, folks. 4 big local stories: Interlochen, short-term rentals, the Pace North purchase, and the Phil's Union vote, plus a rare bit of good bipartisan news out of the Senate on rural broadband. Hey, thanks for listening to Traverse Talks. I'm Jim Horn, and we'll see you next week.